Talk.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the major news. I am Jude Omamegbe. We'll have a recap at the end of this bulletin just in case you just tuned in. So, let's get to the news now as we get to a River State where the youth president of Kweyan community in Kana local government area, Petaba Donaldson, says the oil company operating the field where a recent spill occurred has not returned to the site 5 days after a joint investigation visit. Community leaders had earlier disclosed that the JIV report showed that the 2-week-long spill was caused by equipment failure. Donaldson, who represented the community during the investigation, told our correspondent Soibi Oruwari that gas is still leaking from the wellhead.
Leaving that place like that without doing anything that will correct the mess in that place is not what is giving us happiness, because after the JIV test, the people had not shown any sign of returning to show us what they want to do as to cope and to stop the continuation of the gas leakage, because the gas is still coming up, and then one of these nights the thing got fire. It's a problem for now. It's worrying us because the company is not talking. They've not done any further thing. They only did the JIV. They've not returned back till now after the examination. They've not done any calm down, nothing.
Well, Donaldson added that the community will petition NNPCL to ensure NOSDRA's recommendations are implemented.
We got to see in the course of our signing the JIV, the NNPC is still in charge, not even the company we are seeing. Because that letter was written, that was on Friday. They have received the letter and they may have looked at it and then see how to respond back to us. But if they don't do that, let us hear our reply based on what we have written in the letter. Then we are going to go further. The recommendation of the NOSDRA was that they recommended immediate attention to that site and that they should also go into the cleaning and remediation of the site immediately. It was an immediate report.
In a related story, environmental rights activist Dr. Fineface Dunamene wants government agencies, including NOSDRA, to hold the operators accountable under the Petroleum Industry Act whenever spills are linked to the equipment failure.
So I think that the JIV report points to the fact that, equipment failure caused the oil spill that occurred in that oil well 14. So what the NNPCL's Exploration and Production Limited should do at this point in time is to ensure that they do the needful according to the Petroleum Industry Act that stipulates that any time that there is an oil spill resulting from equipment failure, that compensation should be paid to the people, adequate clean-up should be carried out in the area, and the environment remediated. I think that is what should be done at this point in time. So the relevant authority should ensure that they hold this very operator to account.
Dr. Dunamene is Executive Director of the Youths and Environmental Advocacy Center, also expressed concern that oil spills continue in Ogoniland even as environmental remediation is ongoing.
The continuous introduction of pollution crude oil into the environment in an area that the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project is carrying out the Ogoni environmental cleanup is not a good thing at all. But now there has been a reduction or a total stop to oil theft and environmental pollution in Ogoni land from illegal refineries. But I'm surprised that the sources we never expected crude oil to be coming from is where we are now having crude oil coming from as a result of equipment failure. So steps should be taken to address this issue so that we do not have continuous introduction of crude oil into an environment that environmental remediation and cleanup is going on.
Away from that, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the temporary freezing of 4 bank accounts linked to the immediate past Group Managing Director of Nigeria National Oil, Mr. Mele Kyari, over allegations of fraud. Justice Emeka Wite made the order on Tuesday after counsel for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) Ogechi Uja moved an ex parte motion asking the courts to freeze the accounts in the interim pending the conclusion of investigations by the commission. The judge, in his ruling, held that the application was meritorious and accordingly granted the same. To education stories now, the Vice Chancellor of Ignatius Ajuru University of Education, Professor Okechukwu Onochukwu, has urged the leadership of the Congress of University Academics, CONUA, to conduct its activities based on facts and principles. The Vice Chancellor, who was represented by the University Registrar, Dr. Chinoye Ajie, stated this at a one-day symposium on effective union leadership and fellowship in the pluralized academic environment organized by CONUA IAUE chapter.
Please, whatever you are going to do, or whatever you are doing, please based on principles. God will neither hear nor hear. Let us be alive to our responsibility. Time for the welfare of your member is very, very critical. Advise your member to live a clean life, devoid of suffering, sexual harassment, all the evils that goes around in him. Let them live a clean life.
Well, the Dean of Student Affairs at the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Chima Wokocha, has dismissed claims of bias in the disqualification of some candidates for the upcoming Students' Union government election. In an interview with our correspondent Nandi Samwala, Professor Wokocha said the notices of withdrawal issued to 400-level law students by the Electoral Committee are in line with the abridged academic calendar approved by the University Senate.
We are not interested in who becomes the president of the SUG, where you come from, what religion you practice. So we allow the students freedom to contest among themselves and select who they think is best to be SUG president. The Senate has approved that the law faculty students finish their program in May so that they can prepare for law school. The LECO is not doing anything wrong because the SUG constitution says that tenureship of office is 1 academic year. Those are not able to complete 1 academic year cannot contest for any office.
He explained that the adjusted calendar is meant to ensure Uniport Law graduates can easily enroll into the Nigerian Law School and warned those planning to disrupt the August 22nd SUG election to desist.
It's funny that students who came into the university to read, who we graduate in character and learning,
The club insists no official Isa joined Premier League champions Liverpool. And finally, from the international scene, the Kremlin is downplaying talk of an imminent summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and to resolve, and says if hostilities, adding that the next couple of weeks will reveal his true position. Well, that was the news this afternoon, but before we leave, a quick recap. I heard that quarterfinal infos I beg to differ debate Tournament of Champions starts today. The FCT Minister Wike says former Rivers Governor Amechi's presidential bid is dead on arrival. The Bekele-led Rivers APC has insisted that votes in council election belong to its candidates, and the Federal High Court has freezed 4 accounts linked to the former NNPCL boss, Kiari. The news was edited by Ufoma Ebramuno. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0808 721 7215. 0808 721 7215. My name is Jude Omamegbe. Thank you for listening and good afternoon.